talked to a representative from the private school secondary and also talked to the representation of teachers, that is not but Kupet Secretary General Akelo Misori. But the CS for Education, you know, having released the results under his tenure under the Jubilee administration, gave a breakdown of how the performance of 2021 KCSE results was. And you know, he gave out a total of about 800 and actually over 800,000 candidates. That's 826,807 candidates sat for the national examinations. That is KCSE 2021. And with about only 421,318 were male students who sat for that examination, compared to 405,489 who are female students, which represents about 50 to 49%. But then when it comes to the candidates who will be proceeding to institutions of higher learning, it is such a small percentage as compared to the number of those candidates who sat for the national exams. But let me just, before I get there, let me just give you a breakdown of some of the 18 counties that had more female candidates, and that the CS actually made a humor, you know, about it. And he just made a joke about it, and he said that out of actually 18 candidates had more female candidates than the male candidates in the 2021 KCSE examinations, compared to 15 counties in 2020. So in the year 2020, when the KCSE examination was being done, only 15 counties had, you know, more female candidates than their male counterparts. But come 2021, a year later, 18 candidates. The number went high by 3 more counties, but 18 counties, not candidates, but 18 counties had more female candidates. And the 18 counties, let me just give you a breakdown. He talked about Taita Taveta, Nyandarua, Nyeri, Kirinyaga, Moranga, Kiambu, Machakos, Kitui, Meru, and Elgeyo Marakwet. So these are just some of the 18 counties that had more female candidates than the male counterparts. And in the western region, we have the counties such as Busia, Vihiga, Kakamega. In the central region, we have Tharaka-Nithi, Uasin Gishu, and also Laikipia and Kisumu counties. But when he talked about, you know, subjects performance in the 2021 KCSE examinations, he said that 11 subjects recorded a significant improvement in performance, compared to 19 subjects that recorded a significant improvement in 2020. So let me bring in Dr. Mercy, joining us virtually, an education expert, just to try and understand these numbers that have been broken down by the CS. And Dr. I, thank you for joining us here on KTN News as you continue giving the live coverage of what has happened this afternoon. Release of the KCSE 2021 exams. When you look at those results, we are seeing a good performance from the male candidates as compared to the previous years, and also to their female counterparts. Dr. Mercy, if you can hear me. We're talking about the breakdown of the figures, the numbers that have been given by the CS. And let's begin first having this conversation about the male candidates who performed, who seem to have actually performed better, going with the statistics that have been read by the CS, because we've not yet looked at the entire results. But from what the CS released, Dr. Mary, sorry for that, I called you Dr. Mercy, but Dr. Mary, it shows that male candidates performed way better than the female candidates. All right, as we still try to get a hold of...
Thank you. Thank you, Betty. Can I go ahead?
Kindly go ahead.
Thank you very much for this invitation. I would like to make observations, but first of all, let me introduce myself. My name is Mary Otieno from Kenyatta University School of Education. I'm a senior lecturer there in the area of educational planning and policy studies, research. And I also would like to congratulate the CS for having produced the results and announced it within a very, very short time. That is really a big thumbs up. The next thing that I would like to say in terms of performance between male and female students is that the female folks have been affected so much, and specifically during COVID, the numbers have actually gone down. Those who have registered for KCSE and managed to sit for this exam, the number has gone down. And I'm not sure what the government is thinking when the government says through the CS that they are going to raise the cutoff point. When these students are actually not prepared. Students have been working with a target of C+. And now I was just calculating, and I have seen in the top 15 students, 4 female students are there. That is about 26%. And this going down to the average percentage of performance of students, that is transition to the university education, it is normally about 34%. So this number, the number that have qualified in the top 15 will actually be commensurate those who have passed the cutoff point.
All right.
So I don't want to dwell so much on the cutoff point, but I want to say that the performance is commensurate with the population.
All right.
I think the increase is there because of the increased population.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. So let me bring in Mudheu Kasanga into this conversation, another brilliant mind on education matters. And Ms. Kasanga, when I look at the numbers that the CS gave, let me just give the exact numbers. I don't want to misquote the numbers. And when I look at the numbers of candidates with a minimum university entry qualification of grade C and above, it actually rose to 145,000, which translates to about 17% in the year 2021, in this year where candidates were sitting for that national examinations, compared to 143,000, which translated to 19% in 2020. So the percentage of candidates with a mean grade of a C+ and above has actually declined, based on what the CS was saying, from 19% to 17%.
Yes, that came as a surprise. But then he did drop in a small thing. He said at the end that there's a school whose results have been withheld because of exam irregularities as they continue to investigate. But I don't think that will significantly change the numbers. So that drop is a surprise, given that I thought we were well on the path of recovery from COVID. But on the whole, I believe, as usual, we are a little bit focused on the top end rather than focusing on the majority of the students who have got C constant and below, and how we are going to transition these students into colleges of further training so that all
right. Sorry for that hitch that we are getting from Mudheu Kasanga, who's an education expert. But then our viewers, what you're seeing on your screen is the breakdown that has been given out by our able team here at the Standard Group KTN News of the top candidates, the top 5. We have Denda Obura from Mangu, getting 87 points. And then we have Mukuha Timothy from Alliance, Job Ngari from Mangu, Chege David Kamau from St. Joseph Kitale, Ramadan Musa Tepo from Light Academy. And if you can notice, the difference between these candidates when it comes to the points they've garnered is just a few, points, or when you look on the right side, because all of them have 87 points, but when you look at the hundreds, the difference is so small. And these are just figures of, we are working with the figures that the CS gave, but of course we are still trying to get a hold of the breakdown that the CS has given. And Kasanga, I believe right now you're stable. We've managed to get you back. You were just trying to talk to us about the constant C, that grade for the minimum entry grade to the university. Kasanga? All right. Now, looks like again we are still having a hard time trying to get a hold of her. Technical hitch she's experiencing from her side, joining us virtually for this conversation, but we're still trying to work hard and ensure that we get her. But then let me bring in Mary. When I look at this breakdown, the overall national grade summary for 2021, the number of candidates who got the grade of E is at 19,573, meaning these are candidates who cannot even go to technical university TVET, sorry. Mary?
Okay, I thought you were going to ask a question. Yes, the curve for the KCSE results is actually a normal curve, according to the results that have been announced. But what is missing, the missing link is the plan for these students. Because we talk about 100% transition from primary to secondary, and that should actually commensurate with 100% from secondary to tertiary institutions, whether it is TVET or it is the university. But I did not hear what the CS said about the plans for these students that did not meet the cutoff point. Every year we miss out where these students go. We don't track. For example, the KCSE results for 2021, we actually don't know where these students are. The ones who did not make it to the university, who did not get C+, who did not make it to the TVET institutions. Where are they? So us as educators, we would like to encourage the Ministry of Education to have a plan for students who do not make it to other higher learning institutions. Mm-hmm. What is the plan for them? TVET alone is not important because there is cutoff for TVET. Mm-hmm. So what about those who do not make it? Where do they go? Yeah.
All right. And you know, when we had the CS talk, he really stressed on the sub-county secondary schools, and that is where the government's focus is on, and something that the president passionately talked about today when he was getting the results, talking about, funding more, giving more funds to the sub-county secondary schools. When I look at this breakdown, the performance of these schools, the top 10 best performing sub-county schools, majority of them are from, the Rift Valley region and the northeastern region.
Okay. Thank you. I don't know what you are thinking when you say the Rift Valley region and the northeastern region.
In terms of, Mary, my question is based on the fact that when I look at last year's national results, the ones for 2020, few secondary schools, like in terms of the sub-county schools, made it from the two regions actually made it, and owing to the fact that the northeastern region has been a region where cases of exam malpractice has been reported and exam cancellations, high number of exam cancellations have also happened. But then now come 2021, when the candidates sat for these exams, they've actually emerged as top 10.
That is a very, very tricky question. And first, I was actually thinking that the mention of the increase or the increase of the cutoff mark to the university was pegged on the malpractices, and maybe the students performed over and above. It was beyond, and these marks had to be standardized so that they are leveled up, and that is the reason. But I am not going to convict the schools that have performed very well, the students that have performed very well, because we know Northeastern is a hardship area, and if we can be able to get students from Northeastern doing very, very well in terms of being in the top 15, in the top 100, it conforms with the affirmative action of supporting students who come out. You know, it is like a smoke coming out of a house that we have never seen a smoke. And that is the reason that the CS has talked about tremendously improved students who got into one with 145, and they are able to get a B plane, to tell the teachers that all students can be able to perform it, irrespective of the pool. Yeah, and he downplayed it in terms of majority are from the giant schools, those who are in top, who have got 87 and above. Because they don't look for matchboxes to light the fire. I mean, that tells a lot. Thank you.
All right. So Mary, just hold on there. Just stay with me. I'd like us to cross over to my colleague Moige William, who's at Kangaroo Boys School. Moige, I mean, it's the school right now is just waiting for that big announcement, and there, boom, it is. The CS has actually made that announcement. I know it's celebration mode in Kangaroo Boys.
Well, Zenda, sorry for that. Good afternoon.